Next up, we are going to go and talk about Sandro Tonali once again. This is really picking up pace. Matti Moretto says that Tottenham are trying to accelerate a deal for Sandro Tonali to move to Tottenham. Paul O'Keefe says that Tottenham preparing to approach Newcastle with confidence growing that the player is interested in coming to the club. No club talks yet, but that is pending. Alfredo Padula says that Tottenham are willing to pay over 100 million euros for Sandro Tonali. And Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham are a serious contender for Tonali and have the money to spend despite no European football. Zerbi is driving the move. A bid of around 85 million pounds plus add-ons, taking the package to around 100 million pounds, is expected to be considered by Newcastle. I mean, it's crazy money we're talking about here.
It's big money, but when you're talking about a team like Newcastle, who, as we've said before, just received a big fee from Bayern Munich for Anthony Gordon, one of their better players, so they're obviously less inclined to sell. And Tonali, how much they signed him for? 50 million? No, how much they signed him for? Was it 70 million? I'm trying to remember. Was it 70 or was it 45 or something? It's like I've got two figures in my head. I can't remember exactly how much they signed him for, but it was a decent fee, wasn't it?
55 million.
Yeah, so they obviously want a decent profit on that. He's shown, obviously, he's been a very good player for Newcastle, and he's been very good in the Premier League. He is a top midfielder. He's one of the, for me, he's one of the top midfielders in the league. And maybe not top 5, but potentially top 10 midfielders in the league. And so they're not going to let him go easily, are they? When you're looking at Anderson for 120 million, Mateus Fernandes, for God's sake, they're talking about 85 to 100 million. Why should Tonali be less than Fernandes? Of course he should. He should be more than Fernandes. A lot more, when you think about it. Fernandes had a pretty good season at West Ham. Tonali is a international. Fernandes didn't even get in the Portugal squad.
Did he not?
Yeah, I don't think he got called up. Or at least he didn't. He doesn't start for them.
Doesn't start, no.
I don't think. I know. I don't think he got called up. Tonali is he's a phenomenal player. So I think these kind of prices make sense right now. Well, I think Newcastle well within the right.
Yeah, he didn't get called up.
Yeah, he didn't get called up. They're well within their right. So when a player didn't get called off the Portugal squad is worth 85 million to 100 million, of course Newcastle are going to be demanding that amount. No one's saying it's ridiculous about Fernandes. They're saying, oh yeah, pay the money. United, pay the money. I think for Tonali, if we can get him for 85 million with maybe some add-ons, that'll be I'm not saying a good deal, but that's fine.
I don't think anyone's saying it's a ridiculous fee from Newcastle point of view, or from Tottenham spending it. I think just people are gobsmacked that Spurs would even pay this sort of money.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if they're committed to in more investment, hiring the wage bill, really making us competitive. You know what Ange said in that overlap? He said Tottenham keep talking about being a big club, but nothing in their actions suggests that they actually want to be a big club in the transfer market when competing. He wanted Semenyo, he wanted Guehi, he wanted, I can't remember who else he said, but we were never ever actually seriously in for them players. Well, if we're serious about it, that's what we got to do in this day and age. There's 2026.
Couldn't agree more.
You need to pay these big fees now if you're going to actually compete with the big boys for these kind of players. So
this is what I suggest. This is a big club move if we can go do it, because you're not getting it as well off one of the scraps in the Premier League. You're getting it from a team that believe they're on a level playing field with Tottenham. Everyone's finished above us over the last 2 years, but Newcastle have been a big player in the Premier League over the past 3-4 years. Champions League football a couple of times. Big outfit with big money, with big backers, and they've been building really nicely over the last couple of years. So I think what it suggests for Spurs to be able to go to Newcastle, slap down a fee like that, and be able to get a Sandro Tonali through the door, who's been one of their leading performers over the past 3-4 years, I think it suggests the direction of travel where Spurs are going in, and I'm loving every second of it.
Yeah, so like for me, again, 85 million or 100 million, it's a lot of money for Tonali. Don't get me wrong, it's a big fee, but I think that if we really want him and if he's Zerbi's dream signing and we've got the money to do it, then we should do it.
I've been dreaming of these days, man, that we can get players over the line for 85 to 100 million. So anyone scoffing at that price, I think, is crazy, because this is what we've all wanted for so long. We've wanted to stop, forget this like 60, 65 million price cap that we've been capped to for the last couple of years, and bringing in the likes of Richarlison and Solanke for those kind of money. Like, you pay that extra 20 million or however much it is, and the talent just goes up so much more. So much more, particularly if you scrap that wage cap that we had as well.
Exactly. So I, for one, I hope we are serious and we make these bids. Judging by all the noise from the hierarchy this summer, I felt like something like this was coming in terms of a bid, not necessarily signing him. I did think they're going to make a big move for someone. They're going to break. I was pretty confident they're going to break the transfer record, the transfer fee record for Spurs this summer. It looks like they're trying to. They're attempting to with Tonali. Whether they can get it over the line, we'll have to wait and see. I, for one, I'm really hoping and praying we can get him through the door, because I'm a massive fan of his, and I think he's real quality. I think he ups the quality of our midfield so much overnight. And I think he's also a really good midfielder for Zerbi. The way he plays through lines in midfield, he's effective in the final third, and he's robust, he's aggressive, and he runs all day. He's got unbelievable stamina, and he's got incredible aggression. So I really hope we can get someone like Tonali through the door. If the rumours of Tonali +1 are true, I mean that could be incredible.
It's like dreamland, isn't it? It's like dreamland. Who is this football club? Who are they? Reveal yourselves, because I don't recognise this club in this transfer window. However, it's not over the line yet, so maybe I should reserve that statement until it is over the line. But we'll wait and see what happens with Tonali. But all the noise seems positive right now. Another player that Spurs are linked with as of today is Saeed El Mala of FC Cologne. And Bild are reporting that Tottenham will soon make a very concrete effort to sign Saeed El Mala. De Zerbi is said to be very fond of El Mala, 19-year-old attacker who scored 13 goals and made 3 assists last season in the Bundesliga. We know that Brentford have already had a bid accepted of around 40 million. He just rejected Brentford because obviously he's setting his sights a bit higher. What do you think about El Mala? Obviously, he's had a very good season last year, but 19 years of age, is he another one of those kind of potential signings?
Well, he's already proving he can score goals regularly at the highest, a really high level. So I'll already say he's showing, even at 19, he's got a lot of talent. So obviously, is it potential in a sense that we want him to be better than he is, and you want him to be starting in the Premier League week in, week out, scoring regularly? In that sense, you don't really know until you sign him. But in the difference between him and, let's say, Tel and Odebear, is that Odebear, he scored like 3 goals for Burnley, right? And so you hope, you put him in a better team, he scores more. You look at Tel, his goal scoring record was pretty good at Bayern, but it was on limited minutes. So the theory is you put more minutes in him and the goal output goes up. So again, that's more potential. Whereas this guy's showing, after 34 games at 19, he has got 13 goals. So that's more than just potential. He's already showing he can be a regular goal scorer in the Bundesliga. So, I mean, you can't really turn your nose up at that when a 19-year-old's doing that in any league, but especially a top 5 league. You got to see that and take that seriously. He seems like a really, really talented guy, really talented kid, and obviously we need forward players who score goals, and he's clearly scoring goals at the moment. But whether his development continues at the same trajectory, it's hard to know.
Yeah, it's interesting because last season was his first year in the Bundesliga. Obviously, like I said, scored 13 goals. The year before, he was in the Bundesliga 2, I believe, and scored the exact same amount of goals. So translate from a 17-year-old to an 18-year-old scoring the same amount of goals from the Bundesliga 2 to the Bundesliga, it looks like that step up just didn't faze him at all.
Yeah, very impressive.
That is impressive.
A lot of people talk very highly of him. Think this kid is really, really special.
And we know Brentford's scouting network is absolutely spot on. So if Brentford are trying and he didn't want to join them, first of all, that shows his ambition. And second of all, he probably is a good player because Brentford are going for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, him and Savinho, maybe those could be our winger signings potentially.
Would you be happy with that?
So that means we'll have him, Savinho, Kudus, Tel. depending on who we get up front, I think that could be good.
The thing is with Elmala, obviously I haven't seen him play too much, but it's hard to know with him until you actually see him play in a Spurs shirt, isn't it? It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, but I think he seems clearly he can get goals. He seems to be someone who's pretty good in front of goal. You got creators in Savinho and Kudus. If we can just up Tell's output, all of a sudden you got Tell and Elmala who can get goals. And then what we really need is a killer in the box who can mop up all the chances Savinho and Kudus create for them. If you get that, you could easily have a 20, 30 goal a season striker there, because I think if you have Savinho and Kudus creating for you, you're going to be getting chance after chance.
You've got to get Garassi in. You have to get Garassi in.
I would take that.
I think he's the number one candidate for me. But in terms of Elmala, I mean, he looks pretty versatile. Last year, he played 20 games at left wing, scoring 6, assisting 3. He played centre forward last year as well with 11 games, scoring 4 and assisting 1. Right wing, he had 1 game, scored 1 goal. And in the 10 as well, attacking midfield, he had 2 games, 2 goals and an assist.
I think Zerbi will like that as well.
Yeah, very versatile and scoring goals in all the positions that he's playing in as well.
I can see Tottenham being very interested in him. Not surprised.
And for him as well to reject Brentford, that sets the precedent of how much they're going to accept Clone. 40 million. You can go and get him, and if he's rejected Brentford and set his sights a bit higher, maybe he'll accept Spurs. Who are we talking about next? Next, we're going to go and talk about Sonny. Sonny. An ex-Spurs scout called Brian King has suggested that someone has told him, or someone that he knows says that Spurs were trying to go back for Sonny to get him back on loan for a year for this season coming. He'd certainly generate some interest if he came back. There's always the possibility of him coming back on loan. I mean, I can't really see it. I wouldn't be against it. I would love to see Sonny back at the club for one last dance, but I just can't see it happening.
It's interesting that he's suggesting we already tried it, and maybe it didn't happen, or maybe Sonny didn't want to come back or whatever. But I wonder what the thinking was behind that. Is it a case of we could do with that character back in the dressing room? Obviously, we need goals, and we're lacking goals. And do we think Son can still provide those for us? And maybe we feel like he could. Is there an inclination that maybe Son feels like there's still a little bit of unfinished business at Tottenham, and he could come back and have a bit of a second wind for a year under Zerbi, under an attacking manager, and feel like, if he plays under Zerbi, he can still cook. Obviously, we're watching him at the moment out in LAFC. He's not had the best of seasons, although he's getting a lot of assists, not scoring many goals. For Korea in the World Cup, just gone. Had a good game, but missed a few chances.
He was clocked in that game as the fastest player on the pitch,
which is mad, considering he's 33. So it still shows he's still got mileage in the tank, doesn't he? Still got gas in the tank.
And I think as well, don't underestimate what it would do to the dressing room, bringing Son back in for another year. Obviously adored by everyone, seen as the captain of that dressing room, such a big influence behind the scenes. So I think it would galvanise everyone as well.
So I can understand the thinking, especially after the season we've just had, where it was just so horrendous. I mean, I would have understood it maybe. I think it would have made more sense in January when we were really struggling. We just need that lift, and he can get us over that. Obviously, that's been and gone now. To get him in for next season, I kind of feel like, as much as I want him back, I kind of feel like we need to start looking at the future and start looking at building a new Tottenham, as Zerbi said. And I don't know if re-signing Son, even if it's for a year, makes too much sense in that department. But I also understand that, as we've said, we are a team lacking real quality in the forward line. And maybe we're looking at the market and thinking, look, if we can get Sonny back for a year, and maybe, if we can get him cooking again, then we can do something special.
I would love to see Sonny back at the club. I think it would be a decent move for us, even if he doesn't start every game. To have that sort of quality on the bench, starting in certain games, I think it would be phenomenal, to be honest. And, what he gives you off the pitch, what he brings you on the pitch, a pure leader, someone that all these players look up to, someone that will bring excitement to the fans as well. I don't really see a downside to it, to be honest. But I don't think it's going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I think what the article suggests is it already kind of did happen, and it didn't follow through or whatever.
And anyway, Sonny's already gone on record and saying that he's not going to be loaning himself, or he's not going to be taking any loans from LAFC. He sees it as a disrespect to his current club. So that was a non-starter before it even started.
Exactly. You know, they've brought him in there to heighten the profile of the MLS, and you know, he's kind of, apart from obviously on the pitch, he's got a job to do, but being part of the MLS is also part of the reason he's there. So to go on loan for a year to Tottenham would be a bit of a piss take.
Yeah, especially as we just sold him like a year ago.
Yeah.
So that's the transfer news. There was an article on the... Oh, I've lost it now. Where is this article? Oh, on the Standard here, with Joe Newton, who was the former Tottenham analyst under Thomas Frank. If you remember that picture, how could you forget, with Thomas Frank with the Arsenal Cup at Bournemouth away? And this analyst, Joe Newton's just looking at him saying, "What are you doing?" And there was some interesting comments from him. So former Tottenham analyst Joe Newton has described Spurs as a completely different beast to Brentford after revealing where it all went wrong for Thomas Frank last season. Let's find the quote. So he was on the Chris Gill podcast, which covers analysis, scouting and recruitment within football. And Newton admitted he was taken aback by the publicity he received after it was announced that he would be leaving Brentford to join Spurs. And he said, "It's no disrespect to Brentford. They have done absolutely amazing, and I'm thankful I was part of the growth into the Premier League. But it's another completely different beast going into a club like Spurs. I even remember when we used to go there with Brentford and being told that the South Stand in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium holds as many fans as the G-Tech. So in terms of those sort of facilities that we went into at Spurs, it's just on a completely different level. That expectation, I think, as well, not took me by surprise, but obviously that sort of publicity around me, specifically going in with Thomas, my name was getting mentioned in articles and things, and honestly, for about a week, my phone was blowing up. And it was crazy. So that sort of made me realise quite early that it was obviously, I knew it anyway, but a big club that you're going into, and that expectation." And then going on, he said, "The European games we were playing every 3 or 4 days, obviously that limits your training time, prep time, everything's quicker. Turnaround of games, analysis, meetings and player availability, it did end up sort of piling up." And then he went on to say, "I would say that I'd look back at my process, and of course, in hindsight, there might have been the odd thing here and there I would have done differently. But in general, I don't think I could have done any more because of the way Thomas works in terms of having these coaches meetings pretty much every day. We obviously came to the decision that you might, from the outside, think, why on earth have they done that? But every sort of scenario and the information that was passed on to us, I think if you put us back in that situation, taking hindsight out, I think you would still end up coming to the same decision, because I feel process in terms of how we got to that decision was right. Some things just weren't going for us, and by the end of it, it felt like everything that could go wrong was going wrong." So that's a short snippets of what he was saying. But
Yeah.
What would you take from that?
I mean, clearly, judging by what he's saying, these guys were just out of their depth and this job was way too big for them. That's the kind of sense that I get, talking about the enormity of the task at hand. Maybe they didn't realise how much of a jump it is managing a club like Brentford to go. It felt like they thought they can just take what they did at Brentford and plug it into Tottenham and think it'd be okay, and think they could just do the same thing, not knowing that the amount of pressure, the expectation, also the standards you're supposed to set, all these different things. Like the way he's talking about when he says no disrespect to Brentford, you know, then he said he's thankful for them, but it's a completely different beast going into a club like Spurs. I think they had a really good thing going at Brentford. We know that, obviously. It was such a nice family club feel, very small, you know. There's not too many, people in the kitchen cooking the meal, you know what I mean? There's only a few of them kind of making the decisions. Whereas at Tottenham, it's a very political club. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of voices. There's big fan voices. There's voice in the boardroom. There's probably more coaches and all these different things. And I think the task was just probably too big for from where they came, and I think obviously showed that. Obviously they had a decent start, but as he said, playing. I mean, he even said it like we were playing European games, and it was games every 3 or 4 days, which they just hadn't had any experience of. Even that little thing they didn't know how to deal with. Having less time on the training pitch with the players to instill their ideas, they just didn't know how to deal with that. Because that's something they'd never contended with before. But also, and I find it interesting, he says, if I look back at my processes, there's nothing I probably think back and would have done differently, which kind of suggests to me they did the best they could. Like, there's nothing real. He's not sitting here saying, look, we made lots of mistakes, and like, have I had my time back, I would have done things differently, and we could have done better. He's just kind of saying, look, we did what we could, and that's kind of the limit to my ability. That's kind of how it reads to me when he says that kind of stuff.
I think reading that and listening to that, it proves that we have made the right decision. If we didn't know that already, I think we did. But the job was too big for them. It was too much of a big step up at the current moment in time that we're in. I was obviously well behind Thomas Frank and excited about him, but it quickly became evident that he wasn't the right man for the job, and his coaching staff and everyone that he brought with him. It was just a horrible, horrible mistake from Tottenham Hotspur to basically rip out the whole of the Brentford backroom team and say, all right, go and apply this to Tottenham. It was just all wrong, and I think they probably know that as well. So.
Yeah, and I think the difference as well, first of all, with Zerbi, he has, first of all, the football he plays is more akin to a club like Tottenham. But also, Marseille is a very big club, aren't they? And especially in France. So he has a bit of that. Obviously, Marseille maybe not quite as big as Tottenham, but, in France, they're a massive team. They're an absolutely massive team. So he has that little bit more experience with that big expectation. Brentford is a tiny, even in England, even in the Premier League, they're a tiny, tiny team.
Well, they got an infrastructure of a championship club.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
No, and fan base and everything. Like they're a small, very, very small team who are overperforming incredibly well. Not taking anything away from them, they're doing extremely well. But having the expectation of being at a big club and performing to high standards is a very, very different thing. And De Zerbi has that bit of expectation. Obviously, he's taken Marseille from where were they? I can't remember where they were before him, but they got him to second place. And
right, De Zerbi still doesn't have that much experience playing European football. He was at Marseille for a year and a half.
No, but he has it,
right?
Yeah.
Did he play there with Brighton?
Yes.
For 1 year, yeah.
Yes, he was there with Brighton as well. And he was there with Marseille in Champions League football. And to be fair, his European record's not amazing, but having that experience will help. Coming into it with zero, when you have no idea what to contend with. I think there's also something Ange, struggled with a bit as well, coming into when we first got into Europe. I think he struggled with that balance as well, because I know he had a bit with Celtic, but before that, he didn't have too much experience with the European football, especially with Premier League. Celtic was a bit different maybe because you could just play whoever you wanted in the Scottish League and probably win.
Why Ange struggled with it is because every time we played, we got injuries.
And that as well, yeah.
He had a limited squad to juggle the two together. Even he was lucky in a sense that by the time the latter stage of the Europa League came around, there was nothing to play for in the league. Because if there was something to play for in the league, he wouldn't have had that kind of opportunity to rest everyone in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. So it kind of worked for him how bad we were in the league that season.
Well, didn't work for him because he got sacked.
Of course. I'm talking about in winning the Europa League.
Yeah, in terms of winning the Europa League, yeah. Well,
I think if we were going for like top four, if we were going for something significant in the league, he wouldn't have rested everyone in the league.
And he might still have a job. If we were doing that.
If
we were going for top four.
Look at Villa and Unai Emery. I know they rested players against us, but that's the only game that they rested players in. Even a few days before the cup final, they played a full-strength team. They were able to do that and juggle two together. We weren't because all our players were coming back from injury.
Yeah, long injuries as well. Yeah, I agree. So anyway, the point being is, but the thing is that when we were first linked with Frank and doing this whole thing, these are the exact things I was worried about, and I just don't understand how they didn't see it.
Yeah, well, I didn't see it either, but I saw it. I ended up seeing it. So I was late to the party, but enough about Thomas Frank. We're into the new era now. We're all behind Roberto De Zerbi, and Spurs are making moves off the pitch as well. So let's hope this can continue. If we give De Zerbi everything he wants this summer, then God, we could be a scary prospect next season.
Jim from Oso Spurs says we can win the league.
I have suggested that on a few private calls to a few people.
A few private calls. Are you willing to make that public now? Are you willing to make the public declaration?
The day the season ended, I got on the phone. I was on the phone to
doing a Leicester
to Amir, and I was like, 1 game a week with De Zerbi next season. What are you saying? What are you saying? Look, I don't know if I don't think we can win the league next season, but I think we can get Champions League.
We need to get these signings over the line first. But you know
obviously.
what? I think 1 game a week under Zerbi is a scary prospect. Scary
Yeah, you've got to look at
prospect.
it as well. Like Chelsea are 1 game a week with Jabi Alonso, which is also significant. But I think that Tottenham are ahead because De Zerbi was here for the last 7 games of last year.
Yeah, it's a big advantage.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, people.
I just read Alonso.
Alonso's been fired already.
No, but he didn't even. He found out about Cucurella by Romano.
Oh God, this is this ain't gonna last long.
He's gonna get fed up already.
He's
yeah,
not gonna last long. Is that actually true?
that's what the report's saying. Yeah.
Wow.
He said he found out about Cucurella's move by Romano.
Well. Well, let's hope Spurs can carry on doing this great business. Let's hope we can get Tonali through the door, and I'm excited to see what other names are going to prop up as well, because even if we do get Tonali through the door, it's nowhere near enough yet. We still got so much more work to do. So we'll wait and see what does happen on that aspect. Once again,